I'm Seema Reza. If we haven't met before, I'm the CEO of Mission Belonging. Um, and this is really, truly one of my favorite nights of the year. This reading, there's something particularly special about this opportunity to gather and just like mark the point in the orbit that we're in. Um, We do it in the summer solstice too, but there's something about glowing in the dark that's really special. Um, if you haven't been to a Mission Belonging program before, welcome. We hope you'll come to a workshop. We'll have visual art with Haley directly after this reading. So please stick around if you're able. Um, Mission Belonging got its start in the military healthcare system. Everyone probably, if you've been to something, you've heard me say this, right? I answered an ad on Craigslist and got a job at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. Um, there have been so many different starts to this organization. I think of like, yeah, that's what we'll say is like one official start. But in 2020, when COVID lockdown happened and we opened our doors to the broader community, that was another start. There was another era. And there are lots of the readers tonight who came to us during that time. And then we began our More Than One Story program in partnership with the VA. And there's a whole new era and new community. And in fact, every time somebody comes and becomes a regular part of the community, which many of these readers I can remember like how they have shaped and shifted and brought another person in. Each of those moments are these like big shifts in the chemistry of the community that I feel really, really, really grateful for. Um, so thank you for being here. Thank each and every one of our readers tonight for the ways they contribute and affirm and share their work. And thank you all. Many of you have been readers in the past. Thank you all for being here tonight and witnessing. It is glowing in the dark. And so one of the things we do is light a candle. If you have one, light a candle together. We have this one right here. Um, I was thinking a lot about what is the intention that I wanted to set around tonight's candle lighting. And I'm thinking about how everyone around us is a mirror, right? Even people we don't agree with or understand, in some ways, they too are a mirror. All other human beings are a mirror. And in mirrors, light multiplies. And there's a value to being a light, even when, I don't know, when it feels impossible. And if it does feel completely impossible, then there's a value to being around other lights. So, whichever side you're on, the dark or the light tonight, show up with that, reflect the good around you. May the light multiply. We have a beautiful reading tonight. Starting us off is our very own Martha Pedersen.
Thank you, Seema. You asked us all to say something about around the theme of art saves lives. And for me, art doesn't save my life, but the process of making art enhances my life and it makes me more of who I am. Uh, so tonight my offering for you is called Waiting for my funeral to tell you what I want you to know about me is too late for both of us. Let's start with some of the things I'm not particularly proud of. Get the historic ick out of the way. I have been deliberately mean to people. Not many, but enough that I remember. One was my dad. I wanted to hurt him as badly as he emotionally hurt me. I retaliated only once. I was driving back to DC, and our custom was a big round of hugs for everyone. I hugged my uncle, my brother, my mom, but not my dad. I was happy to see the pain in his eyes until I wasn't. I never did that again. That was before we learned he was on the Asperger's syndrome, and he never meant to be hurtful towards me. He thought everyone thought and processed information the way he did. It was only after his death and my brother's Asperger's diagnosis that we figured out what my dad had been living with, undiagnosed, his entire life. I had been afraid to do the right thing when people were watching, especially that I think mattered at the time, but in the long run, never did. I was the banquet manager at the Jackson Lake Lodge in Wyoming the summer of 1999. Before the end of season staff party, one of the other employees, a kind young man who few people liked, asked me for a dance. I said yes. When the time came, he asked me again, a slow dance. I glanced around the room, and two of my coworkers, members of the Really Don't Matter, but I didn't know it at the time club, looked at me. I believe I gracefully declined and walked away. I don't remember the rest of the night. I wasn't confident in who I was and often defined myself by the people around me. I didn't always choose wisely. I regret those moments and have done my best not to repeat them. Excuse me. Let me tell you some other things about me. One Cocker Spaniel and 5 cats that followed showed me that I am a better parent to my fur babies than I ever would have been to human babies. I'm not good at staying connected to those important to me. My inaction doesn't mean I don't care, only that I'm not good at this. I'm better in person. Calling, I usually think about it when it's too late to call. Not everyone I know texts or has a cell phone or answering machine that they check. An email can feel impersonal. I will mail an occasional card or note if I have your address. However, whether we've spoken recently or not, when I see you, it will feel like it was just yesterday. I'm trying to do better. Please be patient with me. I know the world won't stop turning, that life around me won't pause just because I want or need it to. I'm thankful for that. I could still be incredibly judgmental and hold that for a long time. Fortunately, it's not an all the time sort of thing, but when triggered, I could feel the long-held resentment surface. I want to find a better way to handle these feelings, but so far, no luck. At times, forgiveness isn't an easy thing, even when I know the only one who suffers is me. I'm great at planning. Without external deadlines, the execution is questionable. Yet when I finish that project, that story, I'm reminded of how much satisfaction I get from the process. Finishing is the crumble top on a perfect cherry pie. I am perfectly imperfect. That makes me perfectly human, never static, a continual work in progress and in process. Parts of me are ever changing. I forget things if I don't write them down. Of course, I sometimes forget where I write them down, and that proverbial safe place is really just a black hole. I'm grateful for the life I've had and the one I'm living now. I'm not doing all that I can in my creative life, but I am doing something. I allow myself to be a beginner. I am a jumble of good intentions, trying and sometimes falling short, and a living contradiction of myself. I am more complex than I think I am. Do we ever fully explore and claim all the ever shifting contradictory parts of ourselves? I love being with people, but need my alone time to recharge or to decompress and transition from what has happened, whether it be a movie, play, open mic, reading, or conference, to the life outside of that experience. Sometimes I'm captured by something in a reading that my mind tends to stay there. Unfortunately, I might miss the rest of your reading or even the reading after yours. I'm sorry to miss what followed, but so thankful that your words touched me so deeply and just held on. I'm working at releasing myself from the obligations others have imposed in me that I don't remember accepting. It is important that I be of service. I have struggled with what this means. Military service was just a job. Many of my volunteer activities were helpful, but not fulfilling, whether they were with literacy volunteers, the local toy drive, or any one of a number of activities. I discovered that the service that matters most won't find its way into my resume. Giving a friend a ride to a medical appointment 70 miles away, my casualty assistance calls officer, and my later hospice training have never failed me when dealing with family members. Chatting with an older man at the post office after commenting on his Alma College sweatshirt. No, he didn't attend, but a friend visited there and gifted him with it. He lived in Ohio at the time. We shared a few Midwest memories. Another time, an older gentleman was having trouble navigating the curb at a CVS parking lot. I asked how I could help him. I gave him a hand up, collected a shopping cart for him, and gave him a hand back to his car. We chatted for a bit next to that car, a beautiful vintage red Firebird that his late wife wanted. It was a car full of memories. The things that come from my heart is where my service lies. I am a time traveler full of memories and promise, all that I have ever been and all that I will ever be. Thank you for being my companion on this journey. Thank you.
Oh, Martha, thank you. That was so heartfelt, and what a great title to get out things that things that people wouldn't know otherwise. And I love how you started with things that you wish you hadn't done, like, and ending with the Firebird. Um, so I'm Sarah, and Sarah B. Sullivan, and I'm so honored to be here. Um, I can definitely confirm that art saves lives. I've had a long time of on and off depression, and sometimes the only thing I've shown up for in the last couple of years have been the Friday writing time with Seema and seeing my therapist. but so um, I've got three poems, and I tried not to go too dark or too light, but here they are. Pretending to pray. I want to be someone with faith, the right kind of faith, not the false kind of savior and screwed armor and sword, not a begging kind of faith, not a reaching, not pretending, not an only way. It would take an epic gong to summon us together. It would take 1,000,000 buzzing bees, 1,000,000,000 figs, blinding darkness, softened light. Instead of grasp and gorge and burst, we could all pretend to pray, or pray without pretending, bow to what's unknown, not what we think we know. I mean, we could kneel all at once, face toward the east or any way we please, eyes closed and open all at once. I want to join myself on a cushion or a chair in a journal or a poem. I want to be the one I want to be with. I want us to be the ones we want to be with. Forgive me for assigning you my dream. But, and if you choose to wait and walk and pause and kneel or sit and breathe with me from anywhere or time, I'll know my faith means more than clutching for my own security. A remarkable move. On a bridge abutment caked in soot, someone with a spray can composed a breathful flaxen field, its horizon unfettered by trees or cars or slumping barns, a magenta sky bolstering a platinum sun. Is this asking for something? A note in color form left by anonymous, who surely has a name and alibis? Hope is not a word I've linked to under, yet this absence of bleak, this inserted landscape where the unhoused and the aimless crouch along the wall invokes a sense of space, not solution, not an endless spread of food, an impossible window formed by this is how I want to see what is. But is anyone cured, and is cure a choice? Some who dwell within this concrete refuge must resent this spray paint gesture, the opposite of stagnant, while the stones behind the paint remain steel cold. If cure is a choice, don't blame those who suffer. So many sparks go dark before they're seen in dank and fuelless caverns. This invented sky invites each hour an avid spark of start again or rest or nothing. I'm just having a sip of water so you know I'm a poet. All right, this is definitely one I wrote with Seema's group, with our group. Some sort of love is hanging around. I mean, it's invisible, but, and I know it's here. And what I feel is dry, pinched cheeks where salt flowed. What I hear is clicking keys and random birds. All I see are faint red blotchy stories in my eyelids. Empty is all I smell for now, and the scent of cardamom. I pass my hand over my dog's curved back, and is love reassurance? I have been in ocean's cold float, sting and soothe. I've held crashing crests between my palms. And is love like that and transient foam? I've curled my toes round smoothed pebbles, and curl is a word of love or and fear. And have you seen cream poured into iced coffee? Yes, I have. Yes, I have tasted undercooked brownies with malted vanilla, and I know food is not love. And no, it does not help to hug myself. And yes, I have known and grown and shared love, and the days keep happening. Sometimes there is sun, and I want more. I can't help it. So much lighter than these clouds. And if you want to know what would make me feel happy and horrible at once, it is this. And this is love, to be hugged and held right now by someone I trust who gets it and gets how love is always hanging around. Thank you.
Well, Sarah, I'm Dina. And I was just so blown away by all three of the poems. Um, so much language, so many images. I totally felt among, I could pick out lines, but what I felt was just the rawness, the sheer rawness of the longing, the longing in all of them that is so universal. Um, and I think in terms of art saving lives, when I think of that image, I think about art making as groping in a tunnel toward the light. And the light is as close as we can get to truth. So that is um, thoughts that I wanted to share. And I'm going to read 4 short poems. They're going to start dark and end up light. So bear with me. The first one is called We Have So Little Time Left. Already, the sunlight is shrinking like an old shirt that barely covers the belly, even while it glows, gilding the dried up cattails, the snapped branches that pierce the sky like a severed bone. Only smudges of light left on the slick leaves languishing in icy mud, and on the rushing squirrels newly fattened for their long, incredible fast. Fewer acorns under the detritus tripping our balance. The sky is less blue, the light distant when it isn't daring us with glare. All the garden vegetables remaining taste like old, cold dirt. Soon my jaw will forget how to release from its clench against the elements, and soon will crave the elements, predictable days of final growth, the hardening stems racing to ripen before turning to rot. The air will sizzle, and some faraway bed of ice will implode or simply drip, death by 1,000 small cuts. But tonight, like every night, the sun will set in its predictable pattern, cutting off another sliver of our lives, and we might crawl into bed with a cup of tea, a fantasy story, while fat squirrels scutter up snags of what once upon a time were trees. Next poem is called Down Under. As the earth darkens, I toss the stalk of the last pepper killed by frost. Green spikes of oat cover the plot. Experts suggest I add a layer of fallen leaves, only to rake them come spring or till them under. My brother has been dead for almost 2 years. He sleeps in a cold box surrounded by prayer books he never would have read. Somewhere else, it's warm. They're growing sugar, harvested by workers with rotted teeth. My new glasses darken in the sun, even when I can't see the sun. It must be somewhere, like goodness, one of those abstract words. What's good? Sugar? Obedience? Sex? It all depends on context. Do the sugar workers dream of crossing our border, coming into my garden, packing their goodness in a suitcase along with a sweater for the cold? Soon bears will hunker down for winter. I already hear them growling at their damp cave doors. And this next poem is called Tefillah, which is the Hebrew word for prayer. I feel like it's answering Sarah's first poem. To write a prayer, I need to believe in someone's ears. I need to glimpse a sliver of dazzle even when the sky is fogged in. I need to stop driving through the mist with faith that I'll see the cow if it crosses the road, a ring of illumination haloed around its darker spots. I need to believe in butterflies and in the miracle of trees communicating through their roots, warning each other against danger. If I wrote a prayer, it would be to trees. Instead of prostrating, I backbend my heart to the skies, reach toward that unfathomable space that germinates where limbs join before separating. I'd pray to the goddess of air, give thanks for cold, for rain. I'd ask for patience to navigate fog. I'd ask for a deep rooted light. And the last poem is called In My Heart. It was prompted by an E.E. Cummings poem. Here's the secret. Nobody knows what the moon is made of. Nobody understands our body's common cheese, or how vocal cords vibrating in a hot wind can reach a harmony that pleases even in dissonance. Nobody knows why that tomato chose to birth itself out of the compost pile, wrapping its vines around the lone milkweed, or how the praying mantis managed its miraculous escape just before I heaved the weed it perched on and accidentally uprooted the volunteer tomato, which I dug a hole for in the garden and watered, though I don't have much hope for its survival. Yet some of us persevere like plants, sprouting where we don't belong, dragging our faltering bodies, foggy minds, all to look at the light of the moon, to say, this matters. This is why I'm still alive. Thank you.
Hey, Dina, great job. I love the way your mind works and the way you're able to take regular words and mold them into incredible, meaningful thoughts and feelings. I appreciate it. In terms of art saving lives, to me, regardless of the emotion, regardless of the feelings, you can take control of them. You can sing them, you can dance them, you can write them, you can paint them, you can sculpt them, and take some control of them. Poem I have is called What I Know About the Body. What I know about the body, about anybody, about all bodies, fill a teacup yesterday, maybe a wheelbarrow today. You know, all bodies are different, all being very much the same. I know my own body. I felt it in ecstasy and in pain, in glee and in sorrow. I felt many bodies, many bodies. I've touched and soothed bruised bodies, ran to and ran from broken bodies. I've longed for and fantasized about exquisite bodies, worshipped bodies, loved bodies, kissed and caressed bodies in the brilliant sunlight of a crowded Herring Cove beach, and lost bodies in the absolute darkness of a lonely night in a solitary room. Bodies house all sorts of distractions, the light, the senses, as well as the soul. They are a treasure trove of experiences, a world of uncharted lands. Could anything be more entertaining? Does anything feel better? A rose petal, a velvet rose, a ripe peach, stroking the marble smooth ass of the statue of David, of Michelangelo's David, when the guard turns his back for a moment. The stone is so cool and firm and exquisite. Beauty and strength you caress with the palm of your hand. I say the human body is an amusement park, a place to play, experiment, experience, push limits. The body is a wading pool to sit and splash around in. Other times it is an Olympic pool in which to submerge yourself, to practice and refine. to compete and ultimately triumph. The body is a performance piece with an unfinished script, a prop on a revolving round bed with silk sheets in a mirrored room. The body is flexible, versatile, and practical, a revolutionary invention, a mystery, a toy. So easy to love bodies. Now imagine the perfect familiar body, the one you've known and loved for years. Suddenly, you no longer recognize this body, the body you've spooned with for as long as you can remember, the body whose touch wakes you playfully every morning, then caresses you safely off to sleep each night. The same body you have touched in ways you would never tell your mother or even your best friend. Once it was a perfect body, flawless, supple, the warm wish you didn't have to conjure, the fantasy that was always available, a readily accessible gift at the end of your fingertips. It was something physical, touchable, even sacred. Bodies are the keepers of our lifetime of memories, the recollection of your first grown-up kiss, the moment of surprise and rapture of your first orgasm with a partner, and your first broken heart. Bodies are invisible, unbreakable bonds, holy vows. This wondrous creation of muscle and bone, ligaments, tendons, and all varieties of smooth, sleek skin. Bodies are the perfect vessel. But now, after years of virus and toxic medications, shots in the eye, weeks of diarrhea, night sweats, my true love's body lies here on the couch, looking like a broken praying mantis. Thin, bony, pale. A shell made of rusted iron parts, stuffed with filling from old discarded mattresses, covered with faded wallpaper, peeling from the walls of houses abandoned long ago. Bodies do not last. You think they will. You think this youth, this beauty, these moments of bliss will last forever. You think biblically, I will have this joy all my days. I will revel in it, content until the end of time. And you will be wrong. Your body will ache, your mind and soul along with it. You will lose control of the parts you have taken for granted. You will lose touch with the things you cherish most. Your memories will wither, your senses will dull. Your body will inevitably let you down, disappoint you, turn on you, and at last desert you. It will die, and it will drag you down with it. Leaving you to wonder, does it hurt more when it's your own body or the one you love?
Steve, that was a powerful piece. This is Michelle Murray speaking. You start out with this celebration of the body, and it was beautiful, and it took us through so many places. And then you landed with the image of a body that fails. And I think that's something we can all relate to in our own ways. And I'm sorry you're experiencing that. Okay. I don't have a title. I cannot see the world until the lights go out. Truth lives in darkness, and the shadows reveal secrets to those willing to walk the path few dare to go. The truth is, I didn't choose the path, it chose me. It witnessed me afar for 17 years. The constant chaos of violence and poverty, the heavy-handed touch that taught me how to brace, the violations of my body that stripped away any sense of agency. Safety was finding spaces to hide in where I could make myself small, because love was always conditional, always expensive, and the one thing I could never earn. Immersed in the abyss of life, fear threatened to obliterate everything I clung to. The harder I fought, the further it pulled me down into depths and threatened my sanity. I knew how to fight. I started fighting in 1970 when my mother laid herself across a dining room table in an apartment in a part of town you didn't want to find yourself in after dark. Before the doctor could spread her legs apart, I did the only thing I could. I moved. Just enough for her to question if she was imagining it. Then I kicked hard. There was no denying me at that point. Would I have fought so hard to be born if I'd knew the life I'd been born into? There was a time I would have told you no. I would have told you that my mother should have aborted me that night when she had her chance. But that was when I lived in depraved darkness, one where no light could penetrate. This darkness is built on the ruins of inherited shame, the echoes of violence that taught me my worth was exactly zero. The darkness of self-loathing was a prison I knew intimately well. I longed for escape, but no matter how much I fumbled in the dark on hands and knees, I couldn't find a way out until the darkness chose me. It's why I fought as it dragged me deeper into its depths. As my sanity grew more distant, I fought back the only way I knew how. I gave in to the inevitable and surrendered the one thing I had once fought so hard for. As I felt my life drain away, and before slipping into the cold nothingness where life and death meet, that same spark that made me kick inside the womb called out once more. That was 35 years ago. When I awoke, the darkness I'd known wavered like heat rising from the tar. I stepped through the shimmering veil of distortion into the true darkness, the kind of darkness that reveals, that strips you bare and leaves you screaming in the shadows until my voice broke, feeling more alone than I'd ever. Instead of a cage, I found myself in an expansive cave. For the first time, I was held as the shadows wrapped around me. I found comfort in the silence that whispered into my soul. Instead of fighting, I surrendered to the darkness of truth and became the student of shadow. Through the years and decades that followed, I began to understand why I could see so clearly where others fumbled. The light I found was my own. The fierce spark that had fought to live always burned within me. The light that exposes the lies and misleading narratives that once obscured it now reflected the radiant truth within. Towards the end of my journey, fear came to me, the final test, the last initiation. I opened my arms and welcomed it like a dear friend. Fear is my most trusted advisor now that I know how to read between the lines where truth lives. Fear just wants to protect me from getting hurt while urging me to grow. It often means walking towards the very things that make my knees tremble. 2 years ago, I stepped out of that darkness. I emerged from the Amazon jungle and into the light. That brutal, loud, unforgiving, harsh light. There's no place to hide. And it's the light that exposes my greatest fear, the raw sting and terrifying beauty of vulnerability, of being seen. I'm still adjusting to living in the light. Every day I discover the profound joy of meeting the parts of myself that I hid. I celebrate the emergence of the small parts choosing visibility. And while the sun is a necessary refinement of the self into pure essence, I'll always be grateful for the darkness that revealed my inner light. The shadows who spoke truth, who held me and gave me space to rest as I healed. The age of darkness ended, and when I clasped fear's hand and chose to stand in the sun. And I forget what I'm supposed to say when I'm done, but I'm done.
Thank you, Michelle. This is Rachel. The light I found was my own is one of the lines I wrote down. I wrote down a lot. Thank you for taking us through that journey from light to dark and just showing how there is comfort in that space where we can hide ourselves and heal and then make the choice to be visible. It's so relatable. Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, I'm so excited to be in this space. I love this this group. I love this workshop. I love Seema. I love Rob. I love everyone. Heart art has saved my life over and over again. With every loss, with every heartache, I come to the page and I paint, I draw, I write, and I know that it has been a space of healing for so many others as well. Um, there are two pieces I want to share. One I wrote in the Seaball workshop, and I know it's mission belonging, but it's Seaball to me. Um, and one that I wrote recently and am still kind of noodling over, but it's in a good enough place to share. So the first thing I'll read is called "And Then a Morning." And then a morning, and then a chair and the bending of knees, and then a curtain and a hand that pulls open, and then a cloud, and shoulders that slope, and then sun and a hummingbird in the eye, and then sun and a butterfly sips a flower, and then sun and bees bounce from petal to petal, and then sun and a sadness that doesn't belong to this chest, but it desperately wants to hold it, to stretch it until it is thin, like this window pane that opens to sun and fresh coxcombs sprouting up and flashing their spiraling heads in the air. Somewhere said these velvet flowers were edible, somewhere tender in the mouth, exuding the taste of red on the tongue, far away from this sun and this mouth, longing for the taste of something other than this rusty sadness, something other than this cloudy pain, something other than this toothy anger, something like the open fronds of this palm, something like the fiery flash of this bird chili and the promise of heat on the lips. Stay for a while, sun, and warm these shoulders, kiss these clavicles, uncreak these knees, bloom this body into something beyond blood and bone. I don't have water to sip, but that was like the pause transition to the next poem, which is tentatively called In the Garden of Healing. In the Garden of Healing. My body is a tool here. Less need for pretty and more need for endurance and care. My sun hat is the perfect shield, and my work gloves hold the ants at bay until I remove them to feel the soil in my hands. I am careful not to tear stems, careful not to pull the mother root. Instead, I run my hands over the soil, looking for orange tops, pulling weeds as I go along. Here I can forget the flashes of heat that now complicate sleep, the spotting of skin that once was smooth, and the empty chairs at the community table. Tasha, Tommy, Sadie, Terry, Waisake, Delana, Grandpa. Grandpa, whose sweet potato pie is a whisper on my tongue whenever my hands are in the soil. I've tried to grow many things here. A basil plant that grew to hip height and smelled like heaven when I watered it. Sweet chilies that I dried and ground into paprika. Butternut squash that gave 5 fruits, then melted back into the earth. Watermelon that never got bigger than the size of a thumb, destroyed by hungry grasshoppers. I suppose we all must eat. And papaya that became heavy with fruit far too close to the sky for anyone but monkeys, squirrels, and birds to enjoy. But the sweet potato is a survivor. Rain or drought, it holds court in the yard. Rain or drought, there is sweetness in this ground. Thank you.
Rachel, thank you. That was beautiful. First, I want to thank you for expressing love for everyone here. I also want to express that love. I'm very grateful to be a part. I feel seen and loved by the words that everyone shares, the vulnerabilities, the truths they expose through poignant, beautiful metaphorical language. And Rachel, had quite a bit of that. And I'll be honest, I have attention things that make it hard for me to follow what's actually being said. So I don't normally speak to the narrative of what's said. But in your second poem, in the Garden of Healing, you started out by naming your body as a tool. And that brought me in. And I stayed in because even in the absence of a formal meter, your writing has this beautiful rhythm to it that just I find very mesmerizing. And I think it's the most beautiful part of reading your work aloud rather than having someone else read it. And I'm grateful for that. My name is Dave Murphy. And I wrote 3 poems. I wanted to express something a little more narrative, a little more real, a journal entry. And I've been mulling it over for a month, and nothing I had ready to go quite fit. I tried writing new pieces that were either I'm not ready to reveal all of that, or I'm not quite sure it fit the theme, or I read it aloud and it took 20 minutes. So I wasn't going to bore you with that. But the reason I think art saves lives is because writing is the only outlet I've found. And I'm searching for a language. I realized this month that I'm not a writer. I'm a geographer who writes. The right is the art. The right is how I connect with other people, because geography is a language that not many other people speak. It can be very lonely. Just like being an abuse survivor can be lonely, or being a veteran with PTSD can be lonely. And I love this space because it helps save my life with art. I had a reason to write. And in Dave Murphy fashion, I did it all last minute. And I have a trio of poems that is a reflection on the dark, a reflection on the light, and a limerick about the solstice. And the reason I love you guys, the reason that art saves lives, the reason I'm grateful to be here is because none of this would have been written had it not been for you guys here tonight. And I'm very glad it was written. And I'm going to share it with you now. In the dark. We celebrate in the dark. Our highest holidays come in the darkest times of year, perhaps to remind ourselves that darkness is not evil. Darkness is not a handicap or a flaw or even a harbinger. Darkness only represents the perigee of a cycle. For we can live in the dark. We can thrive in the dark as long as we know the difference between darkness as the absence of light and darkness as the presence of shadows. We celebrate in the dark, and it reminds us that we must shine in the dark so that we may know that which casts a shadow. So we can move out from behind when the light returns. We are called to let our light shine, but sometimes the shadows we cast can protect those who get terrified by the light. For them, to see is to know, and knowledge is pain. Perhaps we celebrate in the dark to remind them that to sense is to know, even when sight fails us, and the darkness only heightens our other senses. So we might find knowledge in the darkness, to feel unafraid of truth in the light. In the light. We favor light to darkness, for in the light we feel we find truth, as if seeing something in the light made it true, as if the light bestows unassailable pedigree to the smoke and mirrors that get rendered useless by the dark. Darkness may hide the truth, but the light invites us to try and manipulate the truth. The truth before us cares not for dark or light. It holds fast no matter how light and shadows give permission to its appearance. We favor light to darkness because vision represents our first instinctual sense in this world that has dulled the rest of them. In the light, we see where shadows get cast. We find the points of origin for all that illuminates. And we believe this allows us to see the truth, the perfect, unassailable truth, and not the smoke and mirrors. They rely on the light that rely on light and shadow. Even though smoke and mirrors do not succeed in darkness, for they can only mislead us from the truth. If that truth is something we can see in the light. Final one is called Solstice. Behold, O my friends, the longest night of the year. The night will bring darkness, hunger, and fear. In the cold winter atmosphere, one thing becomes clear. The days will only get longer from here. Behold the most anxious, behold the most ancient of our sacred days, when we sing about peace and changing our ways. Now gone goes the haze that clouds over our lost gaze, our light in the darkness to break the malaise. Behold now our solstice, this cycle anew. Behold this, the fulcrum where seasons renew. Behold this breakthrough, behold it is true. Behold now our harvest and fields where it grew. Behold, O my brothers and sisters, tonight, behold what the solstice brings true and right. A darkness in white to show us we might go forward from here into blossoming light. Thank you.
Blossoming.
Dave, that was so beautiful. So much of what you were saying resonated with me so much. Um, how you thrive in the darkness and how it protects and how it heightens your senses and the smoke screen. It believe it or not, some of what you were saying kind of goes with what I wrote. Um, and I also did mine at the last minute too, because I find procrastination is my friend. So here we go. What do I want? I want to let this breath out that I've been holding. I want to throw a tantrum like a 2-year-old. I want to ugly cry that deep belly aching cry, that not that cute shit. I want to scream and have the sound of it breaks the sound barrier. I want to wake up and not have my anxiety meet me as soon as I open my eyes. I want to eat anything and everything and not gain a pound. Throw in losing 20 pounds. That'll be good for me. To wake up with my body already in shape. I want to not have a filter to say the things that I keep behind my teeth and tongue. I want to sleep all day and watch the sun rise on a new day. I want to get out of this timeline because I didn't sign up for this shit. I want to punch the evil people and whoop their asses because obviously they've never had one without going to jail. I want to be a mermaid, a bird, an elephant, all at the same time. I got the idea from the show Manimal and imagine having turning into these creatures. I want to run on the beach naked, dive into the ocean to swim out as far as I can go and not get tired. I want to dive deep into the ocean to be able to breathe and discover a whole new world. I want to talk to all the creatures, great and small. I want to watch the stars at night in different time zones. I want to travel the world, taste different foods and drinks. I want to eat mangoes until my belly busts. I want to have sex until we can't move or we catch a cramp in our leg. I want to be seen and be heard. I want to smoke weed, get so high, and have an out of body experience to talk to my ancestors asking for guidance. I want the shows that I enjoy not to get canceled and be replaced with trash fake TV. I mean, come on. I want to read a million books and then read a million more. I want the other voice in my head to have quiet time. I want my uterus back, but not the period. I want my grandmother and my favorite aunts back, even if it's only for an hour to say, I love you and goodbye. I want to talk to God, Goddess, Creator, Sky Daddy, or whomever's in charge and ask him, her, they, them, we, me, what the actual fuck. I want to feel instead of feeling numb when I get overstimulated. I want to laugh and have it be contagious and affects everyone. We all need it. I want to sing and remember all the words, but only from the 80s to the 2000s. I want enough money to leave my kids so that they don't have to worry about that part and to help others in need at the same time. I want my honey to have more good days instead of the bad ones. I want us to have forever. I want to create and not be afraid to share it with others. I want to not be so hard on myself. I want to write a sci-fi novel and be on the bestseller list without the color of my skin or age to deter others from reading it. I want to not be so hard on myself. I know I had to repeat that again. I want to be happy and contented without worrying about it being taken away. And my second piece is containing light and dark. Perpetual darkness has encased me in her bosom. Her warm, welcoming seduction has offered me a place to lay my weary bones. I can open my eyes and see clearly. I can open the top button of my pants and breathe naturally. The colors are sharper and more defined. The air smells different, sweet. The thing about the darkness, it tends to bring out the real you. No hiding or pretending, no polite smiles or fake kindness. I've been fed a lie that the darkness is bad, angry, evil, and only dangerous men seek her company. The light is good, clean, and kind, highlighting all the dark places, people, and things. Even the roaches know how to run away when they're exposed to light. Is that a good thing? What's done in the dark always comes to the light. No, what's done in the light gets exposed in the dark. I used to love the light, willingly seek it. I can see the dangers, all the pitfalls that come with the brightness, but I was pushing down the stuff that needed the work. The duality of light, good, and dark, evil is an illusion that was shattered, broken into a million pieces that can never be put back together, no matter how hard I try. Darkness allowed me to do the dirty work, getting down to the bone, cleaning out the flesh-eating virus that has been festering for years. It offered silence, solitude, healing. It sharpened my senses, gentled my strokes, and softened my voices, making me more aware, closing my healing circle. In the light, I would often let down my guard. I could see everything, right? I know what to avoid, how to escape, all the while leaving myself exposed to injury, glossing over the most egregious wounds. Why do I need to choose between the two? My remedy for this is to empty both in the mixing bowl of life, creating a whole different shade. Being careful not to mix too much of one, too little of the other. Trying to find the perfect balance so my walk and talk can reflect a whole picture with streaks of light and dark, but mostly gray, living together in harmony instead of attacking each other with swords. And for my final piece, it's called The Breath. I can't exhale the breath I was instructed to take. I want to, but the thought of the release takes all the mental and physical effort in my body to open my nostrils to exhale is exhausting. Just thinking, release it or suffocate. Why am I even contemplating the simplicity of this action? We need to breathe to survive. It's natural. It should be natural, right? But my breath is not natural. It comes with screams, lamenting, ugly crying with snot bubbles and voices. So many voices. My breath is a solid force of pressure that is heavy and daunting. Funny, I've never given the thought of breathing as mundane or ordinary, yet hostile. I want to freely breathe, to exhale the toxins combining the super past, the past, and the now, to perhaps rewrite the binary code that makes up the fabric of this breath. A long, slow, cleansing, euphoric kind of breath that requires to extend the life of this vessel. So here I am trying to build up the courage to open my nostril to release the CO2. Maybe I should open up my mouth instead. Thank you.
Debbie, oh my goodness. Thank you for inviting us in and holding us so tenderly while we were there. And thank you for calling forth so much with us too. And for yourself, I'm really cheering you on as I really feel that you're along a journey, and I'm really cheering you on the journey that you're on. Um, that's kind of how it feels like to be in this community. Um, and I've been saving this story because I'm like, I wanted to tell you guys, but usually I take the winters off of writing. You guys won't see me probably for the next few months, as I hibernate. But this year, which my birthday season is kind of at the beginning of March, which is still technically the winter, and this year I was in Boston, right? And I had just gotten off the plane and it was such a terrible flight. Like terrible, like so much turbulence, and I was like holding it together. And then at the last minute we did this like huge like 20-foot drop and I just like kind of let go. I got sick. I was so embarrassed. It was awful. And I got off the plane and I was like, what the hell am I gonna do to regulate myself in fucking Boston at the airport? And like, how am I gonna do this? Like, I don't have my house, I don't have my things, like, but I want to hold it together. I want to like stay here. I don't want to just go buy the next ticket flight home, right? And it was like Friday, like right afternoon, and I signed into the workshop. I have my travel workshop. The camera doesn't work so well, and I signed in. And I was like, Rob, it's my birthday. Can everyone sing me happy birthday? And Rob was like, we have a lot on the agenda. I'll see what I can do. And even after being away for a few months, like everyone sung me happy birthday, and I just like felt so welcome. So this community is such a gift. Such a gift, such a gift, such a gift. And so I'm going to read these poetic records that I kind of write. I wrote one tonight. I see I got one for tonight that I'm going to read third. And then there's two more I wrote. The two I'm going to share, I was kind of deciding I'm going to share one from the closing ceremony of A Day of Belonging 2 years ago when it was Kofi and the more than one story storytellers. And then I have a really short one from this year. And then I just wrote one this year too. So I'm gonna share those three real quick. So this is like our words, y'all. Um, this one's called I Am in Community, We Are in Each Other. Uniform as and is an identity. We do not wear it alone, even though sometimes it feels like we are the only one. Hurting so much there are no more tears. We don't know how to feel. We don't know how to receive feelings from others. As long as you live in a space, it will at least look lived in. Most things can be accomplished by someone else. Let go of the pain a previous spouse caused. You are complex and complicated and complementary. Let the sun burn away the parts that no longer fit. You will find people who stay with you for a lifetime. It won't last. I have lived many lifetimes, and this one is not over. When I came out of your womb, Of your womb you handed me to strangers. I was lost until poetry started to unlock the layers of life left behind, trying to fit into a life I never could. Leading others to safety was my way to survive. I give myself permission to fucking breathe. Know you can do great things, and this and that. I give myself permission to eat Funyuns. I don't need to write the darkest parts of me. I don't need to sugarcoat them either. Permission to begin again and sit still. Deep contemplation, walking away, who you become. Faithful friend, you have not been forthcoming. Share. I love you too. I love you. I love you too. No regrets. No regrets. The triangle we move through as we become ourselves are all versions of ourselves, invented by our ancestors. Sit in a circle and heal. Steady beat, rhythm, melody. We walk the beat and rhythm. The melody comes from the mind, and this and that. The thing about stories is we all have them to tell. Our emotions inform the way we move. I belong to a community, and a community is love. So hopefully that carried you right back to the room, the music room at the Swarthmore Mansion where it all went down. It always feels like a game of Clue, of Seaball Clue when I say that. And this one should take you back to we were just there in September to the like multi-purpose common room um in the Rockwood Manor venue, which I absolutely loved. And this is just a short one because I didn't even know I was writing one. And then I was like, oh, you're writing one. So this is just a four stanzas, four couplets. Looping. It's not as hard as it sounds. Thank you for letting us know what you need. This is what I was carrying. You may have heard this story. Stop me if you've heard this story before. The sun will rise tomorrow, serving something greater than a war. We are in this story together. So that should take you back to September. And then should just carry you back through. I was like, Seema like asked me to do one. I was like, I can't do it, Seema. But Seema, I figured out how to do it. So, um, and art saves my life because it leads me to community and exploration. I did an improv workshop at Day of Belonging, and I've been obsessed with improv ever since. So I'll stop there. Um, so I pulled the quote right from like Seema's opening thing, and then I just to reel myself in. I participated in the chat. I got really nervous for the last two, so I pulled myself out of the chat, and I just took one line from everyone, and the line like really spoke to me. It was so clear. Like when you said the line, I was like, "This is the line." And when I doubted myself, I was like, "No, it's that line. Don't doubt yourself." So this is called "Everyone Around Us is a Mirror." In mirrors. Oh wait, I need a drink of water, Sarah. I need a drink of water really quick, Sarah.
You're a poet.
You already know. Everyone around us is a mirror. In mirrors, light multiplies. Please be patient with me. I want us to be the ones we want to be with. I need to believe in someone's ears. This wondrous creation of muscle and bone. Would I have fought so hard to be born if I knew? And then, sun. Bloom this body into something beyond blood or bone. We are called to let our light shine. Let this breath out that I have been holding. Let the sun burn away the parts that no longer fit. Thanks, y'all. Love y'all so much. Rob, Haley, Seema,
Thank
thanks, y'all.
Wow.
Ryan, thank you so much for that absolute beauty, for the beauty of your gorgeous mane and your light, your light, your light. Um, that time travel was so, so, so phenomenal. Your particular witnessing is something that I am so grateful for, and I'm so thankful that you shared it with us tonight. That was just Johnny, what a lovely gift to all of us. Thank you so much. Whew. Um, what a reading, all of you, every one of you. I'm so glad that this is accessible and that we're able to be here this way. But I also so miss being in proximity to all of you. I felt it many times where it's like, oh, I just wish I could hold someone's hand in this moment. So, um, yeah, thank you for the reminder of how much we all need one another. Glowing in the Dark started as co-hosted by myself and Hari Alluri, who was unfortunately not able to make it work tonight. It started as, I think it was the original launch of We Were Not Alone, this collection of poems. Um, and I want to close with a poem by Hari that is aptly called Blessing Wednesday. This is Hari Alluri. Bless the dreams that let me ease rare into my waking, the miracle of stress wafting as the cat's tail to her bowl. Bless the third time out the front door. Bless the cafe's chocolate croissants that didn't make it in. The barista's 6 a.m. cheeky laugh at my, guess I'll take this misery with me as I go. Bless my failed attempts at grace. Bless the final giving in to dancing later as I cut another lawn. Bless the tired hour, extending a slightly shorter day. A sun that doesn't quite break the clouds at highest noon. Bless big tunes behind big tunes. Bless the casual single backup to the trailer, the fall-in hitch, the ditch I miss, the worm I miss it by, the ever-loving earth I hit to stretch my trimmer line, to free dirt of my boots, getting a little closer to anywhere I have to go. Bless and bless the coworker who reads my mind and throws me keys, the one who leaves a mess I have to clean, the one who snarks the second one to make the third one laugh. Bless, or to make the first one laugh. Bless, I've been all three. Bless bucket and rake, bent machine and hole in tarp. Bless, I'll get right on it. Bless, unwanted, the definition of weeds. Bless living's sometimes gentle greed. Bless horsetail, rhizome root, the sideways and the deep indigenous refusal to be uprooted. Bless the healing in the leaf I've never used, the effortlessness I cultivate, the lie of effortlessness. Bless the brown woman at the chevron till, bless she slept enough, bless while I fill my coffee cup, our under banter, our at racism jabs, bless brake pedal, bless pollen like a snowdrift, the lighter I don't bless it with, the sneezes I do. This city refusing to bless the ground with any cherry trees but male, a widespread policy of no free food. This patriarchy of taming, of grow what takes and take what grows, of uproot the low to keep the love of nature from overspringing forth. Bless it into something else. The pain the city causes, bless with liniment, bless with horsetail salve, all our muscle and ache and sweat, bless the epicenter, bless fractured caress. That's Hari Alluri, and we were not alone. Thank you for your vulnerability, your presence. This is a dark season. It can be a hard season for a lot of folks. Reach out to someone, love someone a little extra. Be kind to someone you will get nothing from. Try to remember something that made you laugh. Force yourself to laugh until you really laugh. And keep showing up for one another, for yourself. And we'll keep showing up for you too. That's our promise. We are at the, it's giving season, so we've got a match. We're almost there. I know we got that there. Please join us. We have the circle, which you all used to join here. If you see someone's got a post that doesn't have a lot of responses, respond, post something. Let's like make it up. I was joking last week, like this is the internet I want, an internet run by Rob. So let's go make it the kindest space it could possibly be. Thank you to all of our readers, to Rob and Haley for running this, for Ashley behind the scenes, for putting it together, for all of you for being here and sitting with us and being in this circle. Thanks for being part of this.